I started videography in 98. So at this time, I was using a technology which could be described right now as a low-tech technology, analog technology also. And I started to work on photography in 2004 and start to work in studio photography in 2007. The way we are producing image right now, it's a bit, I mean, the production for the mass, not the production that artists can do, but the production you can see on television, on marketing, on politics, on fashion. I mean, I don't believe this anymore. I mean, it just sounds fake, it's far from the reality. And I was very concerned about the consequence from the image on the online and how they affect us. So that's why I decided to make image, just to critique them. And music has influenced me a lot in my work, and maybe music it's at the origin of why I'm doing image. Also, I will talk about protocol, and we will use a lot of this word because as I learned by myself, I'm autodidact, I need protocol to structure my research. So what I will talk about right now is how I discovered abstraction. It was at the origin of my contact with image. How I discovered experimentation. Experimentation is mainly the roots of my work. I will explain how I learned the video language, the image language, why I work with protocol, and how I start photography and why I start photography. Then I will turn on abstraction, why I've decided to do abstraction and how. The first time I've discovered abstraction was when I was spending my time with a friend. She's a very good painter. She was doing this kind of stuff. So we are very far from abstraction. And I was always mesmerized watching her, starting from white canvas and start to build an aesthetic balance, starting to make form, shape with color, with darkness, with light. And she was able to do from scratch, from nothing, from white, something balanced, something would start to look cool. She showed me that abstraction gives you more liberty, more potential to create something. Figurative, you're limited with the symbol. You're limited with the possibility to create a story. With abstraction, it's, sky is the limit. Since these days, I always thought that if I have to take a picture or making a video, I have to consider the viewfinder as a white canvas in which I can put form, texture, light, structure, like a painter. I don't care about the information that the frame contains. I know already before to take my camera. I know it will be a picture of something, but the most important is not this something and what it means. The most important is I will balance the frame with all the elements inside and to make it look nice or comment dire, joli. Meanwhile, my daily job was to work on the cultural place. We were in the 97, 98, 2000, and it was the first years of internet. Create cultural events about this technology, this revolution, which is to come. And we had a lot of equipment, of course. So I started to dig a bit deeper in the image by using the equipment. And it was a 4-channel video mixer. I had camera, I had VHS, and I started to mix all of this information and display on screen during musical events, concert, festival. Bernard Stiegler was working for the National Archive of Audiovisual in France. And he was talking about how new technology can affect our habits in the way we play with money in a bar. Every 5 minutes, most of the people were spending their money in the bar, betting. And that was the starting point of this reflection. We have to be very careful because, by the way, we are using technology. And if it's to make poor people more poor, we have to be conscious of that. Stiegler influenced me as much that I decided to try to be responsible of the image I will produce in the future. And so I decided to leave Paris and get back in the countryside where I came from and start to get focused about how this image give, for me, okay, a weird representation of the word. So that's how the protocol came. And talking about protocol, why I've decided to make protocol? Because of this movie. Godfrey Reggio, the director. He decided to tell a story without a spoken word, without an actor, only with image and with the music of Philip Glass. He brings an idea, he brings a thought, he brings a story. Because I understood the protocol of this movie, I try to reproduce on my side, but in a different way. At the end, I wanted to create my own picture, my still image. And I start with architecture, picture of architecture, and I haven't yet get a camera, but nonetheless, I start to walk in Paris, get focused on the wall of the building, and I start to get focused on the details. For me, the most important was not the building itself and its function. The most important was the pattern was drawn and visible from the street. Architecture photography learned me how to frame, how to balance shape, structure, rhythm of structure, texture, light. And I wanted to create abstract picture and to stay in Paris with the habit that I have, the social habit that I have. But it was not a good context. So I leave Paris to Berlin. And at this time, Berlin was super affordable to make your own studio, was super nice. So I've been there. And with the first idea, it's okay, you will not produce picture. You will have a step back and start to think about what is an image, but not in terms of technique, but in terms of concept. I start with Gilles Deleuze on some part of this course, movie and philosophy. He will learn to use a different concept that contain movie. La Société du Spectacle by Guy Debord, classic, 68, talking about how way to produce image right now. Félix Guattari wrote the 3 ecologies. If you want to think in terms of ecology, you have to consider also the social ecology, the way you create social connection, and also the mental ecology, the way you feed your brain. And the last one, Paul Virilio, La Machine de Vision, he will just show you the historicity of the image through the first symbol that you can find on stone until now. He wrote this in 88, I guess he did an update in 91. Reading book to me complexity, and complexity cannot fit in a movie. It cannot fit in a picture. If you want to handle specific situation, you need to be able to enjoy complexity. And it's only by book, only by words that you can handle complexity. And after this, one point was very obvious. I could not anymore produce picture as I was doing before with symbol. I was not able to produce video I was used to do. It was ethically not possible. I wanted to be responsible of my image. I wanted to ask question to the observer. I wanted to change a spectator into observer. I wanted to change the habits we have with an image, a kind of Netflix, okay? We are passive, we are just chilling. And sometimes it's always good to have these habits back, taking time to watch a picture, thinking about this, what's inside, what's outside, and try to understand exactly what is it, and not swapping, just scrolling, no. I like to doing it, okay, but comment dire, it's good also to take time face to a picture. So that's why abstraction was the only solution. And good for me, I already liked it. And what I told you, see the frame like a white canvas, make it sense 200%. So I start to work with abstraction, and I had to make another protocol. What can I produce to create abstraction with my camera? Okay, it's quite difficult in video, especially, to look for abstraction when you don't have so much practice. So I did some rules, and some of the rules are black and white for neutrality. When you're watching color, the color influences always your mind. Avoid referential, north, south, east, west. No pictogram. And use simple tools, your camera, no artificial light, kind of dogma reference, and work with video capture that you will do, long sequence. And I start to work with some video rush that I did in a train that you will see right now. It was a try of who grouped the first protocol. The soundtracks behind the sound behind was done by Aurélie Ménétrieux, great sound artist who I had the luck to work with during 3-4 years. That's the original material that I used to make it. It's snow, simply snow, in Paris one day. I had layer and layer, turn everything in black and white, use fusion option to create the shape that I wanted to. So from this moment, I start to have a protocol of doing video. First, the message, know what you want to do, then find the image you want to create to support the message. So this becomes to be very easy with the experience that I have on video. And I start to think about the technical step that I will have to follow to have the possibility to recreate the image that I have on my mind. So I've decided to do not use CGI, 3D, graphic animation, but to build everything in the workshop. So the workshop tends to be a huge space with many objects, and I will show you the original material that I used. That's the original pattern that I use. It's a water timer with a slow liquid. So I just put the camera beneath and the light above, and I just took the movement. And I was moving from time to time the picture to make this small hexagon shape appears. Then I turn in black and white, then I put it on the side for later. I never use a lot of technology. I use a basic technology, but at least I know it super well. I know the limits, I can have fun in this perimeter, and I can push forward the limits and use some difficulty, some default, some limits, on the other way to create something unexpected. So the unexpected thing was the background. One night we had a huge storm in Berlin. I watched the storm, use the limit of CMOS sensor in camera, and because it's recording the information line by line, and CCD recorded picture by picture. And it's not fast enough for the speed of the flash. There is some part of the image who have darkness and the other one which is in brightness. I create something in black and white, then I start to add color and fusion. I mean, you take two layers of this. One layer you choose to balance the black and white, turn the black and white in yellow and blue, for example, and the other side red and green. And you create a fusion of this, and you will have this automatic color generated video. And I create a new color generator for each video color that I'm doing. About photography, my good friend, I always have him with me. Okay, basic camera, cheap camera, resistant camera. He is 30 years old, I guess. Still working. If you want to make a quick check in the Reaper guy, it will work for 50 more years. So why I have this always and not a phone? Mainly because the lens. If you consider this element of glass to catch the light and you compare it to your phone, We're not talking about the same resolution, we're not talking the same sharpness, talking about the same definition of light. So this one will be super interesting if you want to catch something very sharply, as your eyes can see. So this is a series named Can We See We Are Blind? And it's only abstract image catch from the reality. I work with a protocol on that. Black and white, no symbol, no artificial light. So you have to extract from the reality. There is no arrangement of the real. You take the picture as you found it. No need to change anything. No retouched photo. You only work with the tools that you can have in a photo lab, analog silver print photo lab. So it's mainly contrast and other details, but it's just a question of density and zoning. And no symbol, no pictogram, no human, no referential. With all of these elements, if you want to make abstract picture, I guarantee you follow this, you will make automatically abstract picture. And why I decided to make abstract picture? Because you need time to understand exactly what you're seeing. And you can do it. You can understand if you stay focused on that, you will understand it's a shadow on two different layers. The background is more far from the objective, from the lens, and the upper part is more close. Burning car, a car were burned during the night face to my place. That's what happened when the painting get dry and burned. When you start to walk everywhere with the camera always with you, and when you practice, what will happen? First, your brain will get used to looking for. It will be a background process. Always use a lens, the same lens. Why? Because your brain, your eyes will be familiar with it. For example, in the corner of the stage, I see a super interesting pattern. During this movement, I can think about the light is correct. Do I have to come back to have a better light? What would be the area in the pattern where I can make the light measure? Okay. I start to get focused about which kind of precision, which kind of zone I want to put sharp on the picture, and which one has to be blurry. You choose this with the aperture. Every line meter uses a gray 18%. The hand is very close to it, so you just make the measure. You see, and you just compensate the speed if you want to keep the same aperture. You make a short movement, you balance you just make it sharp as you want it. You have a deep breath, and when you souffle, okay, you push a button. And between the moment I've seen the sequence, the pattern, and the moment I push the button, it's approximately 2 minutes maximum. And everything can be think and done very quickly as a phone. The main difference with a phone or digital camera, you will make 10 pictures of the same things. The camera is 36 exposure. I'm not learning you something. So by practicing analog, you will have the possibility to work more precisely and making one picture, maybe two. And that's it. You know the way you did it, it was good. And you still can work in the laboratory. You still can make post-production in the laboratory. You still have latitude. Even if the light exposure is not good, there is a lab to work on that. On the protocol, I had one last rule that if you want to use a filter, make your own filter. Okay, that's the first step that I did, indeed. It was in the street where I was used to live. The structure was in cardboard. That's the front side of the filter. I did a very funny installation with it, but I was carrying on this one on a trolley on a Sunday morning. There is no one in the street. And I was able to produce this picture. Here is a crane. If you're facing the filter, all the picture will be your picture. All the mirror will give you your reflection. Every slice of mirror will show you yourself. So yeah, that's the kind of picture I'm doing now with the large format. The large format for a camera is the one who have a black sheet, and you put it on like the old camera. it's still possible to make abstraction with it. This is water fountain. Now I'm doing this, and I will come back, I guess, in a year on video. So in conclusion, I suggest you to consider long-term vision, medium-term vision, and short-term vision in every huge part of your graphic life you will have. When you start, it's because you have the short one, the medium one, and the large one. And when you have the large one, the first you can have, you will have, of course, the medium one and the short one. The fact you have a far vision will show you the way to reach it and all the different steps to achieve it. Thank you for your attention.